Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted and privileged to welcome a good friend, a fellow IPO, an accomplished entrepreneur from Israel, Mr. Ran Sharon. Ran, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh. It's such an honor. It's again, bravo for the initiative. I love it.
Thank you.
How can I help, my friend?
Okay, we'll first do our conversation and then I'll reach out to for help. So Ran is the founder and CEO of Clarita, a global clean tech innovation company. He's an entrepreneur, innovator, and businessman. He lectures on entrepreneurship, green economy, impact, and effective networking. And as I just mentioned, he's a fellow member of the YPO. So Ran, let's start talking about Clarita. Tell me about this venture.
Maybe before I'll share with you a bit about the story, because we have a different way of how we started. Mm-hmm. Just to put in a layman terms what Clarita does. We take plastic waste that no one wants, mm-hmm. and we transform it into products that everybody needs. Mm-hmm. Now we'll go back, and our story started around 2003. Mm-hmm. I was back at that time I was in Warsaw, sitting in my office, and came a young Polish scientist to see me, and he said that he found a way to take plastic waste and to transform it into mineral oil. I didn't know what's mineral oil, and he said, my chemistry sucks mm-hmm. till today, mm-hmm. and he said, you will know it like a baby oil. And for me, being not an environmentalist, but it was an innovator and a disruptor, the concept of taking something which has low value or zero value, and it is considered to be a waste, and transforming it into a product that people needs, that blew my mind. Mm-hmm. And over the years, we emerged and we have developed, but I would say the core of our stuff, taking stuff that no one wants and transforming it to issues that everybody needs, that stayed. I will mention that this young Polish scientist, when he came to see me, was 84 years old.
Wow.
And when an 84-year-old, and before Clarita, I co-founded the first incubator in Central Eastern Europe. So he came to see the guy that knows how to invest in startups and to develop startups. And I also learned, when you are 84 years old, people say, there is no use for you. You're too old. Mm-hmm. I discovered that you can be an entrepreneur also at the age of 84. Wonderful. That you can work until your age of 94. Mm-hmm. But I also discovered, again, the concept of no one wants to what everybody needs. Mm-hmm. So no one wanted an old guy, but everybody needed its invention and his concept. And this is how we started.
Amazing.
And over the years, we developed, and today we are a global company. And if you want, we can share later what we do and where we go.
No, we'd like to. And I'm going to ask you. But, whenever I talk to people who are in the plastics business, and I often tell them, look at what you're doing to landfills, etc. Now I know what you are doing in Clarita, and I'll reach out to you. But tell me, what have been the challenges of managing plastic waste in most countries?
I can tell you that when we started, I looked at the situation and I saw that the world has a couple of challenges. Mm-hmm. Plastic waste started as a challenge, but it was small, but there was a challenge. People talked about this. On the other hand, there was a lot of dependency on crude, and there was volatility in crude prices. You remember the time it moves above 100 and down and up and down. The volatility was very shaky to everybody, industry, and even consumers. And environment was an issue, but it was a nice to have issue. It was not a must, and it was nice. So looking at that issue, quantum leap to today, the United Nations classify plastic waste as a pandemic. So it's a global catastrophe and problem. On the other hand, COVID shows us, hey, we need plastic because we have so many things that we use for protection, etc., that are made from plastic, the disposables, etc. So there is a combination. From one side, the world is consuming a lot, looking for alternative to plastics, I will say so,
right.
Not much recovering and creating recycling of that. And on the other side, plastic is growing more and more. And I would say even you recycle, you're not really ending the life of plastic. Plastic remains. And then it ends up in a landfill, it ends up in incineration, in the sea, rivers, and some of this is treated. Clarita's sector is what we call chemical recycling, or what we actually call it, we call it chemical upcycling, because we do not make old plastic to new plastic. There is a company doing that. It's not that we do plastic to fuel, that is for the purpose of energy or purpose of transportation.
Right.
We do the plastic that in the end we can find in more than 1,000 products. I mean, we do families of oils, solvents, and waxes. And we do FDA grade. That again, our products can find from a simple degreaser that you clean your kitchen with. You can find it in a candle. You can find it in, as I said, even in a baby oil or a Vaseline. So these are products that people need. We also saw that plastic is from one side, it's a great container, but again, what do you do with it later?
Correct.
So we found a very old Jewish scholar, Maimonides, that said that waste is actually waste is actually a misplaced, is a thing that is misplaced. And because if instead of putting it in one, you place it in the right thing, it might be correct. Right. We look at waste as a misplaced resource. And today, plastic is an issue. I agree. Still dependent on volatility of crude, but the solutions are not enough. Clarita is only one. We are more than welcoming many other companies to do.
Very interesting. So for our viewers and listeners, how large is the problem of plastic waste?
You know what? Any number that I will throw, it's nothing compared to the it's huge. In the sea, for example, if I'm not mistaken, there are 5 gyros where the oceanuses are meeting, the oceans are meeting, and then you have like an island of flow of plastics. And some say, I did not see it personally, that but there are islands of plastic the size of France. Wow. It's huge. One of the cool things that we did with a certain NGO is we collected plastic from the ocean, and we wanted to see can it fit our process. And we told this NGO, bring us the most complicated plastic, the one there is a huge problem. And they brought fishing nets. And the ones who helped them to collect the fishing nets and plastic from the ocean was a group of surfers that were surfing and collecting. And we put that plastic waste from the ocean inside our process. And one of the things that we make is waxes. So these waxes, we went to a manufacturer that specialized in making waxes for surfers. So we made surfer wax and we gave it back to the NGO. Now the beauty, if you think, from one side, we ended the life of plastic. We saved, the poor fish from eating plastics. So, but we ended the life of that. But we also created a product that usually will come from crude, and we gave it to the same society that collected. So the ocean and the amounts of plastics we are having, it's crazy. It's really. If I'll take only Israel, where I'm currently stationed, Koran does not allow me to travel. When you look at Israel itself, we have almost 1 million tons per annum with a country of about 10 million people. It's a bit smaller than India, I believe. Yes. We have about 1 million tons of plastics that are suitable only for Clarita. And if you think that the Clarita facility per annum, if you think that the Clarita facility is 60,000 tons per annum of plastic waste, try to imagine how many facilities I can build in one country. Correct. But then, we should spread it all over. But I always, when people say about competitors, I say, anyone who can handle that problem, which is actually a great resource, and transform it as an alternative to something else, is more than welcome, and we will even assist and work together.
Amazing. So, when I was reading about you, you are transforming plastic waste into white oil, paraffin waxes, and aliphatic solvents. And if you said your chemistry is weak, I didn't even pass my chemistry in school. But help me understand what kind of value adds are you doing, and how are the what you're producing eco-friendly?
Okay. Let's understand that this type of solvents, waxes, and oils, today, they're actually origins from crude. Mm-hmm. So the petrochemical industry, pumping oil, it doesn't matter from the sea or from land, pumping oil, refining it, and at the end, most of crude goes towards fuels. It doesn't matter if it's a jet fuel or diesel, benzene, etc. That, the ones that we use for transport. Right. And there is a sector, a certain part of the crude barrel that goes into petrochemicals. Okay. The petrochemicals are from plastics, but also different types of things that when you look at a cleaning material at your home or a shampoo bottle, you see so many different names. Correct. For the non-chemists between us. These are usually petrochemicals. And so just by the fact that we take one thing, which is the plastic that comes from crude, and we end the life of it. And then we also make another product that usually comes from crude, but we are not making it from new crude. By this, actually, we are creating a carbon negative environment. So Clarita is one of the few companies that by using and applying our technology, right, you actually create a negative CO2, which is good for the environment. Amazing. So that's one of the things that we do. And other stuff here, I would say there is the direct ones, but there are also peripherals. You do, for society, you do anything from job creations to even stimulation of small, medium-sized enterprises. Now, I see the society and the support to society as a key for a sustainability and positive impact also on the environment. For the non-specialist among the audience, the triangle of sustainability is an economical impact, an environmental impact, and a social impact. Often people neglect one of these impacts, and then it can be like a philanthropy or others. I think that even when you help society with job creations, with the ability to think and create and do, you are also creating a positive and necessary impact on the planet. Look what COVID did to people on mental health. Put them back to work, they will be happy.
Very well said. So one more question regarding Clarita, and then I'll move to your next passion, which is the green economy. This incredible technology, are you planning to license it out to other countries in the world, or build it yourself?
So I'll say like this, I was lucky, and maybe it's because my past experience or not, but when we started Clarita, we assembled a team of investors/partners, and a lot of them some of them were even members of YPO, but a lot of them it was not just money, it was money plus a certain know-how. It doesn't matter if it was logistics or even banking or scrap industry, etc. And everybody agreed that this is a long-term thing and we should not create it based on a hype. Again, 2003 started almost 20 years ago. And so we never had the need to publish something and promise that we are going to try. No, let's first see that we can develop this. And the first stage that we did, we took the professor idea and we checked the chemistry in a lab. And then we scaled it up and we created a pilot facility in Poland. A pilot facility, it's like a big lab, but we had the entire process over there, from hydrogen until, end product. And then we built an industrial scale plant, which is a 15,000 square meter facility, which is located in South Africa. And over there, it's a greenfield facility that we make everything on place, and we make, hundreds and thousands of tons of products, plastic waste coming in and products coming out. This is our demonstration facility, training facility. This is where we do sampling for potential future customers, etc. But it was not really made as a commercial facility. Okay. So our first one was the know-how one. We need to own it. Okay, and when we need to own it, we need to only because we want to learn from our mistakes. We want to develop, of course, so we want to protect our IP. When this one brought the necessary information, we said, now it's time to move on. And now we are working on scaling up. And we are currently working on 3 facilities in the Netherlands, Poland, and Israel. Now we took a decision that we are preparing everything by ourselves. We work on permitting, engineering, site selection, securing the I would say the supply chain of raw material, the waste. When it comes to us, it's already raw material, it's not waste. Selling our product. So we are gearing up on so many elements. And on a global level as a group, and also on territory level, Poland, Israel, Netherlands. For there, we are talking with potential partners that we tell them, come and join us. But we are not stopping, we continue and we welcome others. We do have approaches from all over the world. People are saying, can you license the technology? Ashutosh, to be true, probably later. It's management attention. We want to really feel 100% okay that, we work perfectly, although we are very confident, but, it's still chemicals, and scaling up, it's also a challenge. But we took a different approach recently, and some of this is already known, where we told strategic investors that we were approached a lot by strategic investors. Strategic investor can be someone from petchem industry, but it can be also a local entrepreneur that is very strong in a community. And we tell them, you know what, first come and join our holding. And we allow them to join as a tiny minority. And then we are developing with them a territory. Recently, we signed with a company called ACI. It's a multinational company. And with them, they became a small shareholder in Clariter, but we are starting to develop facilities in Germany, in some places in the US. So the journey is going together. So licensing probably in the future. Today, we're saying anyone who wants, first come and join us on the top. So we will be aligned with our interest. And also then let's develop a territory or stuff that we can do with our product, like different blends or stuff that we can do with raw material.
Amazing. So Ryan,
you know what, Ashutosh, I'll jump something. There is one of my favorite quotes. It's something that I learned in South Africa. There is a favorite quote that says, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. If you want to handle a plastic pandemic, if you want to handle such a demand for crude product and dependency on crude, it's not to have one crusader that can save the planet. No. And that's why we say, no, it's not just about us. Let's do it together. So I welcome people to join us. And I'm even ready to help others to be successful with knowledge, information, whatever we learn. There is a big demand and there is a big problem.
Fascinating. So Ryan, you're very passionate about sustainability, about the UN SDGs, and you're already walking the talk with Clariter. Let's talk to you a little bit about the green economy, and you lecture on this subject also. For our viewers and listeners, tell me, how do you define a green economy and what are the challenges the world faces?
I gave recently a lecture about the difference between clean tech and high tech.
Okay.
In my mind, we are a startup, a very old startup that invested tons of money. We invested only in R&D about 40 million euros. So it's relatively a lot for a private company. But the thing, and before my experience, I was in a lot of what we call high tech. So in the high tech concept, we all know the stories about 2 guys sitting with a small computer in a basement of someone and becoming a Google.
Correct.
In clean tech and in green, it's more than 2 great guys. It's more than a professor. So you need to have someone with the idea, but then you need to have people to support and help to develop the idea, but also how to work on this from various angles. The other green tech and clean tech and others, they do take usually more time, but they will last longer. An app is something that tomorrow will be a better app. Technology that, like in industries or others, will be probably for a long time. So, and the second is, when we started, the investors community was not there. I'm talking about there was almost no VC to clean tech and green tech. I mean, even the term clean tech was not existing at the time. Today, you can start to see angel investors. You can start to see CVC, corporate venture capitals. You can start to see the VCs. It's still a challenge. But I will say, if you're an industrialist, I don't care which industry, agree that a certain percent from your profits will go, call it a brave capital, and invest it in stuff that has the triangle of sustainability, the economical stuff you want to make money, the environmental stuff you want to make a better environment, and that it's good for society. I think it will be an amazing return on investment. You know, you mentioned about us walking the walk. The truth, when we started, I was not a tree hugger. I would say also today I'm not a tree hugger, but don't tell it to anyone. Some of my friends are tree huggers, some of our employees. But for me, it started because of the disruptive innovation. This is what blew my mind away. And it's still my number one key here. I just realized that you can do it also by taking care of the environment and sustainability. The UN has what they call the SDGs. There are 17 SDGs. You know, recently, every year I pledge and I sign a UN report. We make a UN report for Clarita. We meet 10 out of the 17 SDGs. Wow. And when I met with my sustainability director, and I said, why? How? And she said, you know, funny, we did not need to change anything. It was our DNA from the beginning. So if you're an entrepreneur and you are thinking about making a new venture, from the beginning, build it, make it, you know, with a good intention. If you're an existing company and you're doing a lot of, look at the SDGs of the UN, published 17. Look at this and say, you know, this I can do better. This is a small change. Magic happens. And I think today it used to be nice to have. There were a lot of greenwash. People talked about green. Today, investors market are saying we will not invest in a company that does not have an ESG plan and activity. The youngsters are looking, saying, tell me what's good are you for the environment. You know, it's becoming a must, and companies that will not adopt, I think, will suffer. And companies that will start, I tell them, do it properly.
Well said.
Do it. Yeah.
Well said. So I know you've got to run, but I've got one last question. And this is for the thousands of people who will watch our conversation. As someone who's been such a successful entrepreneur, what would your advice be to a young entrepreneur starting off on her or his journey?
So I'll tell you one, I don't think that I'm a successful entrepreneur, but maybe funny. I think fear. I'll explain. People ask me, you know, oh, you're almost 20 years old as a company, you raise so much money and you're building. And we are still a startup. We are not generating real revenues. You know, there is a lot of risk associated. There are many things that, you know, management of growth is a challenge. And I found that whenever there is a fear issue, you know, what will happen tomorrow? If there will be a problem, God forbid something happens, COVID or non-COVID, if I'll fail, I found that instead of coming and saying, oh, I need to be afraid, I need to, okay, let me wait and see. I found that the best is embrace your fear and use what Master Yoda said, do or do not, there is no try. Don't try to do stuff. Oh, I try to give him a call. I try to make a change. No, you can do a change and you can fail. If you are ready with yourself to fail and to look yourself in the mirror every morning and say, if the company is closed today, will I be able to look myself in the mirror tomorrow and say, did I do everything in my ability? And the answer is yes, go and do it. If you realize that not, and it's because of fear, often it's because of fear, shame, ego, whatever. If you're able to come and say, big deal, I might fail, but I can also succeed. And then what will happen? My advice is don't be afraid, breathe, take the time and just do. Don't try to do.
Wonderful. Ran, on that note, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure connecting with you again. Such a pleasure meeting you and talking to you again. Thank you for the incredible knowledge you have given to me and to all our viewers and listeners on sustainability, on the amazing work Clariter is doing, and a little bit on the green economy. You and I have to talk again. Thank you again.
100%. Anytime. Ashutosh, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Salute and thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.